lungs intact.
Thanks again, team. Look forward to seeing you next time on The Chase Australia.
Unemployment surges to a two-decade high. Tonight, more than 800,000 Australians out of work. The Prime Minister calls it the coronavirus recession we didn't need to have. Now calls for an extension of JobKeeper. A breakthrough in a 10-year mystery. Police trace a fingerprint left behind in the multi-million-dollar Liverpool council fire. Tracking down thieves targeting convenience stores. A protest causes Boris Johnson's convoy to crash in the heart of London. A peak hour price rise on the way for commuters. The new player in grocery home delivery undercutting the big supermarkets. And a former English captain in the running to take over Australian cricket.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. Australia's pandemic recession has sent the unemployment rate to its highest level in 19 years. The figure for May was 7.1%, with 227,000 workers axed, taking the total number of Australians who've lost their jobs since the crisis began to 838,000. The Prime Minister says he's heartbroken and warns there's more bad news to come.
This Grim Reaper wants to scythe through politicians' jobs.
It's about time we got rid of these bastards.
Bob Catter blaming the government for killing the car industry.
Excuse my language, but I'm very angry.
As the Prime Minister delivered some grim news.
This is another very hard day.
The unemployment rate the highest in 2 decades, surging to 7.1% in May with 227,700 jobs lost. Women and the young hardest hit.
Youth unemployment is now at 16.1%.
The jobless rate highest in the states with closed borders. Western Australia, Queensland and South Australia, just a small rise in New South Wales, and in the ACT, home to the public service, the rate fell.
These are our dark times, but I can see that ray of light.
Although 830,000 people have lost their jobs since February, only 230,000 have registered as unemployed. The rest leaving the labour force because they don't believe there are any jobs. The Bureau of Statistics says if those people are counted, the real unemployment rate jumps to 11.3%, the highest since the Great Depression. Labor says more will become unemployed when the JobKeeper wage subsidies withdrawn in September.
Businesses across the nation will collapse without this form of support.
Blaming Mr Morrison for many already being out of work.
Because the Prime Minister deliberately excluded them from JobKeeper.
People have been hit by the coronavirus pandemic.
And an economic crisis.
It is a recession we didn't have to have. It was a recession we weren't going to have.
But a recession he has to fix.
And let's go to Mark Riley in Canberra. Mark, is the government now considering extending JobKeeper for some workers?
Yes, it is, Mark, but only for the hardest hit industries like tourism and hospitality. The big policy challenge is preventing more people being thrown out of work when JobKeeper ends in other sectors. Cabinet's looking at a range of incentives, tax and cash, to encourage businesses to keep people on and offer new jobs, as well as resetting the job seeker unemployment benefit at somewhere above $40 a day. But Scott Morrison warned today there'll need to be flexibility in all areas, in government support and workplace practices, asking everyone to give a bit in order to get the country back to work. Mark.
OK, Mark Riley in Canberra, thank you. While New South Wales fared better than most states, the fact remains more than 40,000 full-time workers lost their jobs here last month. The state government is keen to emerge from lockdown as quickly but as safely as possible, with encouraging signs of more job opportunities ahead.
Florist Michael Alameddine started up straight out of high school 32 years ago and has never seen it so bad. His 3 staff cut, with fears business would go from bloom to bust.
It has been very tough and I've never seen it like that. And I'm doing all the hours myself, which is, it's a bit hard, I'm a bit tired, but it's okay.
For New South Wales, today's data means almost 44,000 jobs lost across the state in May.
These numbers obviously are going to be very challenging, but behind every number is a human face, someone who's doing it tough.
It takes the state's unemployment rate to 6.4%, up just 0.1%, not as bad as some had predicted.
Certainly New South Wales is doing a little bit better than what we're seeing in other states, but it's still very depressing reading.
But with JobKeeper running an underemployment high, no one doubts the true figure is far worse.
Even though a lot of people have kept their jobs in certain industries, hours have been reduced, wages and salaries have been cut.
And there were surprise sectors hit. One HR tech company reporting it wasn't just the obvious industries hurting.
We thought it would mainly be blue collar, hospitality, tourism. We were amazed the amount of white collar, accountants, lawyers, professional services.
Like Sophie Steiner today.
It's the first time that I've actually been unemployed for 2 months in my life, and it's challenging.
One upside, although job ads are down almost 53% on last year, they're up almost 40% on last month. And the industries leading the charge: tourism, hospitality, trade, services and transport, hoping to drive jobs in what experts say will only be more difficult months ahead. Chris Reason, 7 News.
News of so many Australians losing their jobs hit the share market hard and sent the dollar lower. Network finance editor Gemma Acton joins me now. Gemma, how are those numbers looking tonight?
Well, Mark, it wasn't a good day, but safe to say it could have been worse. Certainly when the jobs figures were announced this morning, the market took a sharp dive lower, but then recovered many of its losses later on, finishing down just 55 points or 0.92%. Some companies whose fortunes are tied to our economic recovery did have a tough day. Among the worst performers were some retailers, JB Hi-Fi and Super Retail Group, and some travel stocks such as Webjet. All of these were down by more than 4%. The Aussie dollar also plunged after the jobless news, but has since clawed its way back to be buying around 68.7 US cents. So a better result today than investors had feared. Mark.
OK, Gemma, thank you. 10 years on and police have finally charged someone over the arson attack that gutted the Liverpool council chambers. A single fingerprint found on a stolen cash register helped them crack the cold case. Officers now closing in on 6 others believed to have been there that night.
At Liverpool Court on a separate matter, and detectives are waiting for him. They've been working towards this for a decade.
He's been carrying this burden for some time.
Milan Berber is accused of torching Liverpool council chambers in August 2010. Arson detectives say he was one of 7 young men who broke into the building armed with a jerry can full of petrol. The blaze caused almost $30 million in damage.
I have no doubt the intention was to burn the council chambers down. Now, as to why, that is still under investigation.
Today, the 29-year-old was refused bail at the same court he was arrested. The prosecution arguing he stay locked up because he's been charged 18 times in the past 10 years.
The court heard police recovered a cash register in nearby bushland that had been stolen from the building. It's alleged a single fingerprint belonging to the accused was found on the bottom of it, linking him to the attack.
Berber admits to drinking in the park where the register was found on the night of the blaze, but says he didn't light it.
How will he be pleading?
Not guilty at this stage.
The 6 other suspects are yet to be caught, including this man. Natasha Sweary, 7 News.
A couple and their baby are lucky not to have been hurt when a car being chased by police crashed into their home in the Hunter Valley. The high-speed pursuit kicked off when the driver of this Holden Commodore refused to stop this afternoon. It wasn't long before he'd lost control. He was trapped in the upside-down wreck with a female passenger.
Both those people are under police guard in hospital pending further investigations.
A third person ran off. The father of a police officer brutally attacked along with his partner during an arrest on the Central Coast says cop bashers should face mandatory sentencing. But the state government wants to wait for the results of an inquiry before it makes a decision.
Don't grab me, mate!
Caught on camera, a violent, shocking assault on 2 police officers.
Stop resisting.
The father of one of the officers punched and spat on has reacted to the attack captured on his son's body cam.
I was very concerned. It was very harrowing to hear the screams.
Mr Kinghorn is calling on the Premier to impose mandatory minimum sentences of 6 months jail for those who assault frontline workers.
You can't get up, don't try and move.
If she's going to support police, well, let's not have a tokenistic support. Let's have a genuine support. It just needs to be done.
I will move you on your side. The last time I did that, you elbowed me in the face.
None of us want to see that type of heartbreaking footage.
The police union isn't rushing to back any calls for change, while the government is waiting for the findings of a parliamentary inquiry into assaults on police officers, which is likely to determine its next move.
Please know that we are always, for us, it's a work in progress. We're never afraid to toughen up our laws in any regard when it comes to protecting our frontline workers, and we will.
Have a look at what options are available to us. I don't rule anything in or out.
The inquiry findings are expected later this year. Miley Hogan, 7 News.
A convenience store worker has been held up at knife point during a terrifying early morning robbery at Bondi Junction. The two thieves were in and out in less than a minute. Police want people to watch the video of the attack closely to help track them down.
It's a terrifying scene that's played out in convenience stores many times before. Two men burst in waving kitchen knives at a lone worker. But what's unusual is that this is in the middle of busy Bondi Junction.
They banged on the door and I was surprised, and suddenly they started hitting everything on the counter. They asked me to give them money.
It happened just before 3 a.m. yesterday. The two thieves scoped the store out first to check if the coast was clear, then made their move, slashing at items on the counter and demanding money from the till. Mohammed has worked here for more than 2 years, but has never faced violence like this before.
So it's completely out of character for the area. Bondi Junction is not a place where we'd be expecting this.
I never had anything to be afraid of, but this was just a surprise and shock.
The attackers were Caucasian, aged 18 to 20 with thin builds. They took off on foot, both in dark clothing and hoodies.
The thieves were last spotted running east on Oxford Street, but then they disappeared. Police hope, given how busy Bondi Junction is, there will be witnesses who can help them track where they went next.
Somebody hopefully has seen two young males hanging around this area before the incident, or even just after the incident.
Andrew Denny, 7 News.
Just as more of us return to work, the state government will announce major changes to Opal pricing tomorrow, hitting many travellers with higher fares. Cheaper tickets will be offered for trips outside the peak. The government also pushing ahead with plans to privatise bus services, despite a noisy backlash outside Parliament.
Driving their message home, a car convoy in support of bus drivers. Union protests outside Parliament and outside parliamentary offices in Dee Why, Manly, Mona Vale and Double Bay.
Shame, Gladys, shame!
Ensuring the government heard their message as its privatisation plans were debated inside.
The public never want them privatised.
All we want is to be guaranteed that we're not getting, as you say, thrown under the bus.
There's a very good opportunity for those drivers to secure better pay.
The Transport Minister standing firm as he prepares to unveil new public transport prices tomorrow.
Watch this space, because we've got to do things that incentivise people to change their habits.
Commuters will be charged more to travel during peak periods, with the discount for off-peak travel increased. The changes coming into effect next month.
It's hoped the changes will reduce congestion and improve safety as we emerge from the COVID crisis. The reality is, though, many people will have little choice but to continue travelling during the most expensive times of day.
Our big fear is that they'll use COVID-19 as cover to massively increase fares on people who can't afford it.
Some prices will go up, but most won't. The independent pricing regulators recommended 5% hike, ruled out.
No family can afford their recommendations.
Alex Hart, 7 News.
Qantas has cancelled all international flights except to New Zealand until late October. The airline says it expects a travel bubble between Australia and New Zealand, so some flights are scheduled across the Tasman in the coming months. On a brighter note, it's doubled the number of passengers on domestic flights this week to 64,000. Disgraced former magistrate Graham Curran is a free man after successfully applying to have his sentence reduced. The 70-year-old was jailed for indecently assaulting a teenage boy in the 1980s. He appealed and was today acquitted of 2 of the 7 charges. Curran's sentence was also cut, meaning he was able to leave jail immediately. It's been revealed the driver who smashed into a clothing store in Western Sydney had previously lied about his medical history when he applied for his licence. Today, a court was also told he'd been at risk of being taken off the road just months ago because he'd racked up so many speeding fines.
He doesn't dispute being the driver. He doesn't deny causing bedlam, injuring 14 people. But what Sabri Nasser does deny, that it was deliberate. If this was a driver engaged in a road rage incident, he would have continued in a straight line. It just does not make sense, his lawyer said. What also doesn't make sense, why he was behind the wheel in the first place. In 2013, he suffered a medical episode. A neurologist warned him against driving until he underwent a brain scan and was cleared. Instead, he successfully applied for a licence the next day. There is a failure to adhere. It would appear to advise against driving, the judge said. In February, his licence should have been suspended for speeding. Instead, he was placed on a good behaviour period for 12 months.
Nasser's lawyer argued his client needed to be out on bail so he could undergo tests to determine whether he has epilepsy, testing he could have done 7 years ago. The judge saying those medical assessments can be done while he's in custody.
Where he will stay after his third bail application was today refused. There is a prospect, a likelihood, that he would receive a custodial sentence. Up to 2 years if a jury finds Nasser was motivated by rage. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
Boris Johnson has been caught up in a safety scare in London. The British PM was being driven past protesters outside Parliament when his Jaguar was hit by a police protection vehicle. He's fine, but the repair bill will not be cheap.
Outside Britain's Parliament, a protester blocks the Prime Minister's convoy. A police protection vehicle hits the car carrying Boris Johnson. He was in the back when his car was rear-ended. Despite the jolt, the Prime Minister's office said he wasn't injured. His $100,000 Jaguar will need repairs. The protester, a pro-Kurdish demonstrator, was arrested.
The Prime Minister is wholly unscathed, and I believe that everyone else escaped safely from that situation.
A few hours before the collision here, Boris Johnson was helping to launch negotiations between Australia and the UK for a new post-Brexit free trade deal, with a particular focus on the biscuit market.
Tim Tams, how long can the British people be deprived of the opportunity to have Arnott's Tim Tams at a reasonable price?
He might have wanted a cup of tea and a Tim Tam after this. In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
The search for Cricket Australia's new CEO is going well beyond our borders, with an unlikely contender appearing to have stepped up to the crease. Sir Andrew Strauss, the former England captain, who not so long ago was the architect of our Ashes downfall.
Just days after Kevin Roberts was let go, an unlikely frontrunner for Cricket Australia's top job. South African-born former England batsman Sir Andrew Strauss. Known to most Aussies for his uncompromising style while captaining England to 3 Ashes series wins, including the 2010 showdown on Australian soil. Now reports the 43-year-old has been approached and is interested in the job.
A bit hard to come across a POM running Australian cricket, but if he's the right guy, he's the right guy.
Can you imagine an Australian going over and running the ECB? I don't.
National coach Justin Langer today coy about the chances of a former combatant becoming his boss.
We're going to hear all sorts of names come up. Whoever is in that role will have my absolute support.
Cricket Australia so far have remained silent on the link. It's understood the search for a new CEO could take some time. And Strauss is just one of a number of international names being considered.
They're trying to think outside the square, meaning outside of Australia, and there has been an approach made to Sir Andrew Strauss.
Interim CEO Nick Hockley, along with former Australian women's wicketkeeper Christina Matthews, also in the running. Cameron Price, 7 News.
Time now for a check on our weather. Here's Brownie.
Virgo, the good old harbour city turned it on today. In fact, at the moment it's sitting on 15 degrees. We've got a gentle easterly breeze. But as we look towards the weekend, an active front should drive areas of rain and thunderstorm activity as it gradually passes through. clearing us by Sunday afternoon. But having said that, raw data from the Bureau highlights the 3 months up to the end of May delivered above average rainfall to most of our state, but parts of the east missed out on the soaking. The red zones highlight this, mainly to the northeast corner and also down towards the far south as well. But back home, some fog patches are likely in the outer west to see in your Friday. Then a fine and mostly sunny day to follow. Weekend weather in detail, usual spot, top of the hour, Fergo.
We'll see you then, Brownie. Thank you. An Atlanta police officer has now been charged with murder over the fatal shooting of Rayshard Brooks. Next, the penalty he's facing is disturbing. New details emerge. A gunfight in Sydney's west, how 2 men wound up in hospital. Costly crash after an Aston Martin slammed into a pole, its owner not behind the wheel. Later, fresh produce for half price, the new service delivering cheap groceries to your door. And in sport, the Bulldogs star recruit trains in isolation, and he's opened the door for James Graham to return to the UK.
7 News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
I suddenly realised we're all in this together.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
This is insane.
You wanted a show, you've got one.
Oh, baby, yes!
See why it's the biggest series launch in years and the most streamed ever.
Big brother, you've outdone yourself.
See why all of Australia can't wait for Sunday.
This is the best thing ever.
New Big Brother, Sunday at 7 on 7.
Let's do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
Light up their faces with the awesomeness of puffed rice. LCMs are the surefire lunchbox hit.
Why can't I get online? Because it's no screen Sunday, remember?
Dad?
Set time usage limits with the McAfee Safe Family app.
Gone.
Included in the new Optus Family Plan.
This end of financial year, get the Hyundai Tucson with style, impressive performance and intuitive technology. Now with a $1,000 bonus. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
Is So Good almond milk the better milk for you? It's dairy-free and full of calcium. So Good almond milk is packed with vitamins, and unsweetened varieties have no added sugar. Feel good inside and out and make today so good.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this NRL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at the half and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
Businesses are facing an overwhelming amount of information. Business Australia can help you get the answers to your toughest questions with our free business advice lines. Get the support you need at businessaustralia.com.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Welcome back. A woman has had a very expensive accident slamming a supercar worth $500,000 into a pole in Melbourne. She lost control on a corner in the CBD, ramming the Aston Martin Vanquish into a safety barrier. She ran from the scene before police arrived, leaving a 27-year-old man in the passenger seat. It's understood he owns the car. 2 men have been shot in Sydney's west, with police still trying to establish who pulled the trigger. One victim turned up at hospital, another was found at a home. Police were quick to reassure the public.
We do believe it's a targeted attack, and both parties that have been wounded at this stage are known to police.
The gunshot wounds were not serious. Police hope the victims will cooperate with their investigation. An American police officer could now face the death penalty over the shooting of a man in a fast food restaurant car park. Disturbing new claims have emerged about the death of Rayshard Brooks, including an allegation he was shot and then assaulted.
In an Atlanta car park, a fleeing Rayshard Brooks is shot twice in the back by police officer Garrett Rolfe. Prosecutors say he then walked over and kicked him as he lay dying.
The utterance made by Officer Rolfe was, "I got him."
Already sacked, Rolfe will now be charged with murder, which could mean the death penalty. A second officer, Devin Brosnan, charged with aggravated assault. He is seen standing on Brooks's body.
I think you've had too much to drink to be driving.
It was an attempted arrest that turned into a struggle.
Stop fighting! You're going to get tased! You're going to get tased!
Investigators say Brooks grabbed one of their tasers and ran, turning and firing it before Rolfe shoots him. Police lawyers argue the officer feared for his safety. Prosecutors say Rolfe knew all the taser's rounds had been fired.
We've concluded at the time Mr. Brooks was shot that he did not pose an immediate threat of death.
From the president,
I hope he gets a fair shake because police have not been treated fairly in our country.
Evidence of her dying husband being assaulted, new devastation to his widow.
I felt everything that he felt just by hearing what he went through. And it hurt. It hurt really bad.
Both men must hand themselves in by tomorrow night. In the United States, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Donald Trump's former national security advisor has dropped explosive allegations in a new book. John Bolton calls the president irrational, foolish and stunningly uninformed, claiming he believed Finland was part of Russia. Mr Bolton claims President Trump asked China for support to win re-election and tried to intervene in foreign criminal problems as favours to dictators he liked.
I think Putin thinks he can play him like a fiddle. I think Putin is smart, tough. I think he sees that he's not faced with a serious adversary here.
The Justice Department is now seeking a restraining order to delay publication. It's a moment that's left many New Yorkers in shock. A 92-year-old woman randomly punched on the street and left bleeding. Her attacker, a career predator, has been arrested 103 times and continually set free. Geraldine has a message for him.
I think I've been a happy liberal person, and now you've changed. Absolutely changed that whole view of you. I think of you now as frightened to tears of who you are.
She's now offering to pay someone to protect her on the way to the shops. Labor's branch stacking scandal has escalated with new evidence of bitter infighting. Next, one MP's vile rants unleashing on his colleagues. Plus, a senior health official hammered over the Ruby Princess disaster. How a deep-sea mission uncovered some curious critters never seen before. And the cold reality of this year's snow season, some surprising new rules at New South Wales ski resorts.
What could this ordinary mum have that this billionaire wants?
Mrs. Gray.
2 families, 2 worlds. They will collide. I was never meant to be a part of his world. A man died because of you. I won't play by his rules.
She's bad business!
He can hold a life in his hands. So can I.
Between Two Worlds, this July on 7.
Hey all, Darren here. Hope you're doing okay. I'm back with another delicious, simple and affordable dinner solution for you and your family. These are my delicious Greek-style chicken wings. They're gonna feed 4 people, and you know the best part is they're coming in at under $5 a head. Great tasting dishes doesn't have to mean spending a whole heap of money. Check out these awesome value ingredients that I've just picked up to make this dish. Okay, let's get started. So I've got my chicken wings. We're gonna cut each wing into 3 pieces. Trim off any little bit of fat. Now it's time to make a simple marinade. Got some dried herbs here, some oregano, some thyme, Dijon mustard, and I've also got some rosemary. Grate in the zest of half a lemon, cut the lemon in half, save one half for later on, and squeeze the juice into the marinade. Grate some garlic, some salt flakes, and some black pepper. We'll give it a stir with some light olive oil. Pour these onto the chicken wings and put these into the fridge, probably for about half an hour. Now, it wouldn't be a Greek feast without some roasted potatoes, so we're just gonna cut them into wedges. Now we're gonna add some olive oil and some salt and a few more of those dried herbs. The oven's been preheated, so I'm just gonna add these into the hot tray. I'm just gonna chop up my zucchini, put it into the same bowl that I had the potatoes in. We're gonna put this zucchini in the oven when we bake the chicken. So I've got some light Greek yogurt here, probably about 400 grams, some grated garlic, and the lemon that we saved from earlier. We're gonna grate the zest, and then we're gonna add in the juice. Next, fresh mint, yogurt sauce done, super simple. I'm gonna put it in the fridge. Potatoes, they're looking really good. I'm gonna add the zucchini to the potatoes and finish them off in the oven. Chicken's out of the fridge. I'm gonna put the pieces onto an oven tray and put them into the oven. Probably gonna take about 35 minutes. Potato, zucchini cooked. This chicken is absolutely incredible. What a feast. I can't wait to dig in. And do you know what? All of this for under 20 bucks, that's gonna feed 4 people. Incredible value. For more recipes like this, head to coles.com.au. Hope you give it a go and I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome back. Charities helping people recover from the South Coast bushfires have been ripped off $10,000 and nearly lost another $20,000. Detectives investigating a local gang at Bateman's Bay have arrested a man and a woman, charging them with several counts of fraud.
This is an abhorrent crime. These people that preyed on members of the vulnerable members of our community.
The pair has been refused bail. The Ruby Princess inquiry has heard passenger health rules drafted in mid-February were out of date by the time the ship returned to Sydney just a month later. A senior health executive agreed the guidelines should have been rewritten to dictate tougher testing.
Dr Jeremy McNulty is one of the state's most senior health bureaucrats. Just like others, today quizzed over the lack of COVID swabs aboard the Ruby Princess.
I don't understand why swabbing would not be regarded as important. Was it regarded as important?
Yes, it was regarded as important. Dr McAnulty explained there was, at the time, a worldwide shortage of test kits. The Commissioner not convinced.
But this sounds like a run on toilet paper point.
Asking whether New South Wales health staff were ever short of swabs for their own work. Not that I'm aware of. And whether it was right to let people off the ship when the few swabs that had been taken were yet to be tested.
It is quite unjustifiable to let everybody else disembark when they were putatively infected by those very people whose test results were being awaited. Correct?
Correct. Swab test results showing 2 passengers had COVID-19 were available in the evening of March 19 as the 2,700 passengers spread out into the community. But it wasn't until 9 a.m. the next morning that the Health Department's emergency operations team was notified. At least 22 deaths have been linked to the ship. Tomorrow, one of those 2 passengers first diagnosed is due to give evidence by video link. The inquiry is due to report in August. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Opposition leader Anthony Albanese has now been dragged into the saga engulfing the Victorian Labor Party. Explosive texts from a federal MP connected with former power broker Adam Somyurek have been leaked to the media, but Mr Albanese is standing by his colleague.
Friends since the 90s, the fallout from Somyurek v Byrne is now tearing at the party they championed.
I have a lot of respect for the man, but I do think that something is seriously wrong.
Dumped as a Victorian cabinet minister, accused branch stacker Adam Somyurek.
Everything I know now about branch work Anthony Byrne told me.
Takes revenge, leaking 2 years of personal text messages from federal Labor MP Anthony Byrne. On Bill Shorten, makes me sick to my stomach. Ex-federal colleague Alan Griffin, I want to cut his head off.
These comments are completely unacceptable and inappropriate.
Byrne calls former Senator Sam Dastyari crooked, corrupt. Another unnamed Labor colleague, watch her, she's a
and I've counselled Mr Byrne about his language.
On the Victorian Premier's victory, I hope this signs his death warrant politically.
Oh, look, I think those text messages speak for themselves.
There is praise for Adem Somyurek. No one in federal Labor is anywhere near your level of judgment, understanding and intelligence. Anthony Byrne's response, just a two-line statement, but even that has tipped fuel on the fire. In it, he says he welcomes the investigation into corruption.
Corruption, a word that his own Labor member
Prime Minister will resume his seat. The Prime Minister needs to withdraw that imputation.
It looked like a state scandal. Now the Somyurek sting is hurting federal Labor. Tim Lester, 7 News.
State Labor leader Jodie McKay has broken her silence about revelations of branch stacking here in New South Wales. She won't take action against Granville MP Julia Finn, who was found to have breached party rules.
If there is an allegation that arises in future that I need to look at, I will act. But there has been no unworthy conduct finding against Julia.
Ms McKay blamed the coronavirus crisis for delaying action against 7 party members found guilty of unworthy conduct. The ski season begins on Monday, a little later than usual, but resort bosses are promising it will be one to remember. Tough new social distancing restrictions will be in place to keep us safe on the slopes.
Despite the threat of COVID-19, our ski resorts have found their feet, given the OK by the government to fire up their lifts for another season. It will, however, be a winter like never before. Hand sanitizer, the new must-have accessory to stay COVID safe on the slopes.
The biggest problem that we will have going into this snow season, that people think that we're finished COVID, become complacent.
Even a good old-fashioned snowball fight is banned, along with tobogganing right across the Kosciuszko National Park. You can still hike and, of course, ski and snowboard, but you will need a ticket.
And if you don't have a ticket, then basically don't come down to the snowy mountains this year.
Thredbo's sold out until the end of August. Operators pleading for patience.
We've got to work within the 1.5 metre social distancing guidelines. We're going to load 2 people on each of the chairs that would normally take 4. It's all about just getting that first lift spinning on Monday and then see if we can build up from there.
Off the slopes, shops, bars and restaurants have had a COVID makeover enforced by police.
Our police will move through licensed premises and make sure that people are behaving.
While there's not much snow at the moment, the Bureau is predicting moderate falls here early on Saturday morning, with skiers and snowboarders hoping to hit the slopes as soon as possible. And for those who missed out on tickets, more could be offered if restrictions ease.
It'll be a slow and steady build up throughout the season, but I'm confident they'll get it right.
Taylor Aiken, 7 News.
A robotic submarine has discovered a world of bizarre sea life off Queensland's coast. With fins like wings, this looks a little alien but actually lives off Cairns, where strange organisms seem to dance in the current and even swim upside down. They were more than a kilometre beneath the surface during an expedition mapping the sea floor. It's believed some of the creatures could be new discoveries. Sydney's harbourside landmarks have been saved from falling into private hands, but urgent funding is needed to save the historic sites. Details next. Plus, new schools for students across our state where they're being built. Later, prices slashed on shopping essentials, the new service delivering directly to you.
Soon in sport, just as the Dragons notch their first win of the season, a star confirms he wants out.
Lengthy sunny breaks today, early fog tomorrow, weekend weather soon.
We want you to build an entire station from scratch.
This crew can't just be good.
Rob Lowe.
They gotta be the best.
And Liv Tyler.
You do what I say, Captain.
The new action thrill ride, 911 Lone Star, on 7.
Whether you're trying to keep your business going or make it stronger for the future, Business Australia can help you improve your cash flow, find alternative revenue or build your business online. Get the support you need at businessaustralia.com.
Ready for a change? Suncorp now has 0 monthly account keeping fees on all deposit accounts. That's on both personal accounts and business accounts. That's the Suncorp spirit.
there's only one thing to look for. Choose a super fund with this symbol.
We're all in this together.
73% of Australian women don't get enough calcium from their diet alone. Boost calcium absorption with Ostal and Vitamin D for strong bones. Have you got the bones to do it?
You're relying on our network more, so we're accelerating the rollout of Telstra 5G, giving more people and businesses access to fast download speeds in more places than ever.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this NRL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at the half and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
Room for 7 and much, much more. The first ever GLB.
With health insurance from Australian Unity, you're in good hands. Get 6 weeks free and pick cover that suits you. Join hospital and extras by June 30. Search Australian Unity today.
Is this real or a dream? It's both, and it's not far away. When you want to get out, dive in. If this is isolation, get on board. For real remote learning, plan an excursion and reunite in a place you'll always remember. Start planning your escape now. Go to brillianttravels.com.au and register to win one of 4 Dream Island holidays. Sounds like a brilliant idea.
As we reported earlier, the latest unemployment rise hit the market hard, the ASX 200 falling 55 points. Among the better performers, buy now, pay later companies split it after announcing a mega deal with MasterCard. And the Aussie dollar is buying 68.68 US cents. The price of unleaded is dipping, now around $1.25 a litre on average. It has been selling for less than $1.06 in Clovelly and under $1.03 in Bass Hill. Construction will start over the next couple of months on 3 primary schools worth $127 million. The new schools at Marsden Park and Catherine Field will cater for 1,000 students each, another in Wagga for 480 children. The projects are being fast-tracked to help create more jobs. Sydney harbour landmarks like Cockatoo Island, North Head and the submarine-based Platypus appear to have been saved from private takeovers. A landmark review has recommended they be kept in public hands forever, but it raises questions about the cost of maintaining the sites.
The Artillery School at North Head opened in the 1940s. Its mess hall now empty of dining soldiers. The ballroom, once hosting noisy military functions, sits in silence, part of Sydney's harbour history.
On these headlands and Cockatoo Island, there's a whole history book.
They're the monuments to our past, scattered across prized waterside locations. Now it's recommended they stay in public hands to keep them from private ones.
Broadly, the Commonwealth agrees with these recommendations.
It follows a developer's proposal to convert all of Cockatoo Island into an art precinct. Today's report says commercial leases are okay, but not ones for entire sites.
The sites have to be retained within the trust and be open and accessible to the public.
Historic spaces locked up for decades, in some cases falling into disrepair. $50 million has been earmarked for the extensive task of restoring these sites back to what they once were. $9 million allocated today. The federal government says it will consider the rest.
To ensure that these lands are conserved and protected.
The cost of us completing the work on all of our sites is in the order of $300 million.
History, but not a cheap one. Chris Marr, 7 News.
Up to 75% off and brought to your door. The grocery wholesaler now delivering direct to families, where you can save big on the basics. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with Sport. And Mel, the list of Dragons departing could be about to get longer.
Virgo, they could be soon saying goodbye to one of their veterans who wants to go home. More details up next. Plus, the touching helping hand Latrell Mitchell gave to a very special little girl, and Wayne Bennett's praise for his star player. And after a 100-day wait, the Premier League returned and launched straight into controversy.
Surely someone's got to be
unbeaten for 52 weeks. But after one close call,
It's a draw.
is their number finally up? Will the Tigers slip up?
Look out.
When the Hawks know that an upset is on the cards. Then tomorrow, when the Giants take on the Bulldogs, all hell will break loose. Two blockbuster clashes start with Thursday night footy on 7 Mate.
On now at Harvey Norman, get 20% off Microsoft Surface Pro 7, Pro X and Laptop 3. Like this Surface Pro 7 i3 128GB, now $999, saving you $250. Or this Surface Laptop 3 with the latest Intel i5 processor, now $1,359, saving $340. With 60 months interest free available, don't miss out. Get 20% off Microsoft Surface Pro 7, Pro X and Laptop 3. On now at Harvey Norman.
Hey, hon. Yeah? Oh, how funny. I'm in that aisle now.
Get your Woolies worth with great specials like Arnott's Shapes 160 to 190 grams, now $1.60 each. That's half price.
That's why I pick Woolies.
At Rest, we're making super simpler. With just one click, our Super Simple app makes it a whole lot easier for you to manage your money. It's part of our commitment to you.
Bob Jane T-Mart, big brands, bigger deals. Save 25% on Bridgestone passenger and SUV tyres. 25% off all J-Trax 4x4 SUV and Nitto 4x4 tyres.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming. The Good Guys TV sale is on now. Get up to 15% off a huge range of TVs. Like $525 off this Samsung TV, $300 off this LG TV, plus bonus delivery and installation when you buy an interest-free. Only at The Good Guys.
Thanks to Light and Easy, Australians of all ages can enjoy their choice of delicious, nutritious meals in the comfort and safety of their own home. Especially those at a greater health risk during these times. If you or someone close to you could benefit by having Light and Easy meals delivered safely with our contactless delivery service, visit lightandeasy.com.au or call us on 13 15 12.
Did someone say KFC?
The Sports Report brought to you by KFC. Get your KFC contact-free today.
Welcome back. James Graham has asked for an immediate release from the Dragons to head back to the UK. Luke Thompson's departure from St Helens to the Bulldogs has opened the door for Graham to return, but the Dragons are demanding a suitable replacement.
As the Bulldogs trained this morning, their prize recruit, English prop Luke Thompson, was continuing life in isolation. A makeshift gym in his hotel room for a fortnight is his only avenue of maintaining some sort of fitness.
Keep myself in good shape and that, so when I start training, I'm ready to go.
Thompson's move from St Helens to Belmore prompted James Graham and his management to ask for an immediate release from the Dragons. But the Red V wants suitable compensation before they greenlight his departure, only 2 weeks after Graham recommitted to the Dragons.
I'm just not looking for the door. I'm all in for this week. That's all I can be, and in the future will materialise.
Here at Redfern, Master Coach Wayne Bennett is taking a no-risk approach when it comes to James Roberts. He won't play against the Warriors tomorrow night.
The team would love to have him back, but it's for him because we don't want him to come back underdone and then not play well and struggle from that point onwards, and and then he opens himself up to a lot of criticism.
It's been revealed Latrell Mitchell has helped a family from Casino whose daughter Tyera McGrady had brain cancer. Mitchell assisted with travel costs for the 8-year-old to undergo treatment and has also donated his All-Stars jersey. Tragically, Kyera lost her battle last week. Bennett says Latrell is an outstanding role model.
He's a very mature young man. I've got a lot of time for him. You've got no idea who that young man is, and I've coached a lot of 22 and 23-year-olds, and he's up there with the best that I've coached.
Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
Dylan Edwards returns from ankle and hamstring injuries in Penrith's clash with the Melbourne Storm tomorrow night. Coach Ivan Cleary says the new rule changes will make the classy fullback even more of a threat.
The new style of play will help Dill. It suits what he's good at. So yeah, certainly hoping that tomorrow and then down the track he can add something to our team, which I'm sure he will.
And Manly star Curtis Sirenen is a certain starter for the game against Canberra after overcoming a knee complaint. Justin Langer says having to tell a key staff member he'd lost his job was one of the hardest things he's had to do in cricket. Respected Aussie batting coach Graham Hick is among the 40 staff members made redundant by Cricket Australia.
Having to tell Graham Hick yesterday morning was like facing Ambrose and Walsh without a helmet and a box on. I was that nervous because you get really close to your staff.
Langer will rely more heavily on technology like Zoom video conferencing to offset the reduction in staff numbers. The Swans will once again be without first-choice ruckman Sam Naismith in Saturday afternoon's game against North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. Naismith is still recovering from a hamstring strain. Coach John Longmire will go head-to-head with former assistant Rhys Shaw for the first time.
He was here for a long time, but he certainly got them playing fierce football, and that's a real credit to him.
Lance Franklin is back doing light training after his hamstring setback. And a blow for the Giants with Toby Green out of tomorrow night's game against the Western Bulldogs with knee soreness. Coverage of tonight's clash between Richmond and Hawthorn begins straight after the news on 7 Mates. Well, the maker of the Premier League's goal line technology has been forced to apologise for an embarrassing blunder. The technology malfunctioned during the scoreless draw between Sheffield United and Aston Villa, denying the Blades the match winner.
It's not even close, it's miles in. His own players nudged him over the line. That's miles over the line. Surely someone's got to be looking at that.
While second-placed Manchester City defeated Arsenal 3-0, reducing Liverpool's overall lead to 22 points. Still plenty. Well, Cristiano Ronaldo's Juventus has been upstaged in the final of the Coppa Italia. Napoli defeated Juve 4-2 on penalties to claim the silverware. Social distancing quickly went out the window as supporters spilled out onto the streets to celebrate with flares. It is Napoli's first major trophy since 2014. It's been a very long time since we've seen sights like that. The football is well and truly back in Europe, Virgo.
That party will go for some time, Mel.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night.
Thank you. The pandemic has hit many industries hard, but for one restaurant food supplier, it's created a surprising opportunity. After losing its regular business, the grocery wholesaler is now delivering directly to families.
For mum of three, Megan Phillips, trips to the supermarket with her kids are always a mission.
They're all asking for something, they're all running different directions.
Coronavirus made it harder still, so Megan tried buying her groceries online from Food by Us.
I love going to the fruit and veg shop and knowing that you're picking fresh fruit. But I was, pleasantly surprised.
Before the pandemic, Food by Us only supplied to restaurants.
Everything is from the farm to the fork, so it's very safe.
Since opening up to households, it's added 20,000 customers. Helping its suppliers.
Food by Us works really closely with all sorts of local businesses, particularly the farmers and the producers.
And family budgets, with big savings on kitchen staples. Food by Us 4-litre olive oil, $30, almost $10 more expensive at Coles. Woolworths dearer still. Bacon in bulk, $9.40, at the majors more than double. And brown onions, half what you'd pay in store.
The pandemic has driven a 50% lift in online grocery sales since March. Supermarkets are ploughing hundreds of millions of dollars into distribution centres, websites and fulfilment, predicting the trend is only going to gather pace.
I find it fresh and I'm happy with it, and that I do get to spend more time with my children and on work.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
Some breaking news now, and British entertainer Dame Vera Lynn has died. During World War II, she was known as the Force's sweetheart, entertaining troops with songs like this.
We'll meet again, don't know when, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Her family has confirmed the news of her death. The Dame Vera was 103. David is back now with the latest forecast. Brandy, cool and clear today. How's the weekend shaping up?
Well, a change is brewing, Fergo. It might even spark a storm. Forecast is next.
3 unmissable weeks of genuinely sizzling drama.
I've had no choice but to take the law into my own hands.
You miss Scarlett and the Duke tonight on 7/2.
It's time to restart our economy. So as we set more tables, turn on more lights and open more doors to get our economy back on track, we need to make sure that when we all open, we all stay open. And that means putting in place a plan that'll keep you, your staff and your customers COVID safe. So don't just get open, stay open with a COVID safe plan. For information and tools, visit australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
When the road calls, here's the very best way to answer. The BMW X3 S-Drive 20i from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
With 100% of your daily vitamin C, go for gold with a zest-free Sun Gold kiwi fruit. Make your healthy irresistible.
Zest-free. This is Sunny. Sunny is a volunteer maths tutor. With inspiring people like Sunny, Origin has supported over 62,000 students through its foundation and education programs. Origin, powered by good energy.
Should I be worried? With COVID-19 Health Assist, eligible members can receive health advice from hundreds of Medibank healthcare experts at no extra cost. See how we're providing better support today.
Kill bacteria that can cause sore throats fast with Betadine Sore Throat Gargle. Or treat and relieve with new Betadine Gargle and Lozenges Kit.
Imagine what your plates could say. Visit myplates.com.au.
So what did you end up getting?
I bought a Jeep.
You bought a Jeep?
Mm-hmm. And so did over 100,000 other Australians. But for some, owning a Jeep wasn't as enjoyable as driving one, which is why Jeep have now committed to cap price servicing and more dedicated technical specialists. So every driver is looked after. What do you think of that, Michael?
I'm in.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
I used to think that my parents had an epic love story.
Don't know if the marriage can be saved.
I felt like he gave up on us. It's over.
Just look me in the eye, tell me that you don't love me, and I'll walk away.
Home and Away, weeknights on 7.
This weather report brought to you by La Trobe Financial. Make your money work harder.
Pay to drop your kids to school up to $100 cash back.
A lot of parents don't know about it.
Where you can claim on 7 News at 6.
Tonight's 7 News headlines. Australia's unemployment rate surges to a 2-decade high. The government now considering a JobKeeper extension. A man charged over an arson attack on Liverpool council chambers 10 years ago. A lucky escape for a couple and their baby after a police chase came to a crashing end in their home. And British entertainer Dame Vera Lynn, known as the Force's sweetheart during World War II, has died at the age of 103. Now, with the latest on Sydney's weather, here's David.
Thanks very much, Fergo. Cold and clear tonight. We're expecting fog patches in our west first thing tomorrow. Now, today's temperature range from, well, 12 degrees to a top there of 18.5. That happened by early afternoon. As we go into the suburbs, it's been a dry, partly cloudy day as forecast. Most maxima reaching, well, the high teens under a gentle breeze. From our weather eye in the sky, we still have some isolated showers that's clipping parts of the north coast. Atmospheric pressure starting to fall across our state. Yes, there's a change, and here it is, and it's building upstream. It's expected to, well, move towards our border late tomorrow night, and in response to that, we'll see the clouds starting to build. But as we move further ahead, the system is expected to do this, bring areas of rain and thunderstorm activity as it passes right over the top of our state this weekend. And the rain should fall as snow over the southern ranges above 1,100 metres during Sunday, with more to follow through on Monday. Nationwide tomorrow, well, Brisbane, just the odd shower or two and a forecast top of 22 degrees. Melbourne, a dry and windy day, strengthening northerly, 17 degrees, some rain developing tomorrow night. As for Perth, it should be fine and generally sunny and around 18 degrees. Back home, just a few coastal showers to the north tomorrow. We'll see some isolated early morning fog patches in the east, and of course that cloud building from the west, with some rain eventually building in the southwest corner of our state tomorrow night. Now, a little closer in, well, it looks like a foggy start in our west according to our forecast model. There it is, maximum temperatures much like today, a partly cloudy day in fact, with a gentle breeze. In fact, the wind should be north to northeasterly, running at around 10 to 15 knots over our coastal waters. For the city, fine, partly cloudy, forecast maximum 19 degrees, coming off a low there of 10. Let's move on to the 7-day forecast. Saturday, dry but cloud increasing. There'll be some rain coming through overnight Saturday. That rain should clear by Sunday afternoon. That's the latest weather. A pleasant 19 tomorrow, Fergo.
Nice way to end the working week.
Indeed.
Thank you, Brownie. That is 7 News for this Thursday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team. I hope you have a great night.
Closer each day.